What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another Friday live stream. It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, doo-doo, it's Friday. Jeez, weekend is here, people. Arsenal against Leicester tomorrow. Premier League action is back. I cannot wait for it. Hoping we go 3-point collecting tomorrow. Hope you've all had a great week. And lots to talk about today. Press conference reaction from Arteta, team news, transfer news, Europa League draw reaction, and all of that good stuff, people. Hope you're well. Make sure you smash a like video on the stream and subscribe if you haven't already. Road to 60k. We're nearly there, people. We are nearly there. Yeah, a little NBA t-shirt for Friday. I'm a big NBA fan, as you know, people. I might actually start doing NBA content on here as well, to be honest, for anyone that's interested. The late night watch alongs, why not, people? I jump scared when the intro suddenly stopped. Oh, from the intro stopping. Yeah, it goes loud then quiet real quick. Stand up if you hate Tottenham. I mean, what? I can't ignore it, can I? If I see it, I have to acknowledge it, you know. Andy said I'm the only person who can be late to my living room. Listen, I always say it's an estimate. When I say 2 o'clock, yo, bro, yeah, I'll be there around 2 o'clock. I'll be there around 2 o'clock, people. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be as honest as I can, people. Hope you're all well. We're top of the league, and we got a lot to talk about. Hope everyone is well and blessed on this Friday. So let's get into the show, people. Don't forget, we'll be live tomorrow 2:15 for the watch along. Leicester against Arsenal. On Sunday, I will be doing Carabao Cup final. We'll be doing that. So make sure you tune in for that as well. We'll all have Geordie accents on for that one. Why, aye, man. So yeah, we'll be Alan Shearer FC on Sunday. And so yeah, busy weekend. And thank you for everyone who tuned in earlier on for the Europa League watch along. Let's start with the Europa League. Just for anybody that wasn't tuned in earlier, I'm sure you all know who we've got. We're just going to quickly go over it, and we'll move on from it quickly for those of you who were involved. Arsenal got Sporting Lisbon in the draw. Now, for those who obviously saw the list of available teams, for me, that was in the top 3 games that I wanted us to get. I thought that Sporting Lisbon, probably Shakhtar, probably Seville were probably the 3 easiest games. Not easiest, but because, you know, you can lose to anybody in this competition. But they were the 3 games that I thought, you know what, we can win them. We can win them. We can beat anybody, but, you know, they were the ones that I wanted at this stage. We got Sporting Lisbon. For me, very good draw. We play the first leg away from home. Second leg back at the Emirates a week later. March the 9th is the first leg over there in Lisbon. March the 16th will be the return leg at the Emirates. And former Arsenal player Hector Bellerin, who joined Sporting Lisbon in January from Barcelona, is there. He was on the bench last night for them in the Europa League, and I'm sure he'll be desperate to play against Arsenal. I'm pretty confident that Martinelli can deal with Hector Bellerin, I can't lie. A lot of people talking about this Pedro Gonçalves, is it, who plays for Lisbon. A lot of people saying he's a very good player. Honestly, I haven't seen a lot of him. I've heard of him. Don't know too much about him. As I said earlier, Sporting Lisbon are 4th in the Portuguese league. They're 15 points behind Benfica, who are top. And they're 11 points behind Porto, who are in 2nd. And 8 points behind Braga in 3rd. So they're not having a good season in Portugal. And listen, for me, there's no easy games in this competition at this stage, but certainly this is a team that over 2 legs we should be beating. And like Oz says there, I mean, Jesus, we're going to speak about him later, but I would like to think he will be available for the first or the second leg. When you think we've still got, 2 weeks until the first leg, 3 weeks until the second, you would like to think he would be available. So for me, brilliant draw. Seville against Fenerbahce, Union Berlin against Union Saint-Gilloise, Juventus against Freiburg, Leverkusen against Ferencváros, Sporting Lisbon, Arsenal. Manchester United have got Real Betis, And I think that's they should beat them, but it's probably one of the harder draws that they could have got. Roma against Sociedad. Personally, I didn't want to play against Mourinho at this stage. That'll be a good tie. And Feyenoord against Shakhtar is the last one. George said, Big C, Robbie and Laurie had a mini argument on AFTV if we are to play full strength or rotate heavily. Now, what's your thoughts? So for me, and this might sound like sitting on the fence, I think we should do a bit of both. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think we can rotate heavily because this is still a game. If you go to Portugal and you have a bad night and you lose 2 or 3-0, you're having to claw it back. You want to go to Portugal and get a good result so you can possibly make things easier in the home leg. I would go strong, but I would rotate some players. I think you can play Matt Turner. I think you can play Kieran Tierney. Give Kivior a game. We paid 20 million for him. Let's see what he's about. I think you can play Fabio Vieira as well in that game. And Tomiyasu possibly. I still think that's a very good team. And, you know, maybe you could bring Reece Nelson in and give Saka a rest. And so for me, yeah, I wouldn't go full strength. But it has to be a strong enough team to beat them and deal with the away leg when you're going to be under more pressure. So I wouldn't go full strength though. For example, Partey would not be starting that game for me. I'm playing Jorginho in that game, and I would try not to play Saka as well. So yeah, there's the draw, people. Very good draw for Arsenal. And listen, I'm looking forward to the games. Considering maybe going to the away leg. Lisbon, meant to be a very nice city. I might have a look into going over there for that one. But let me know in the comments, people. Let me know what you would do. Sporting Lisbon, would you make multiple changes? Would you play a full-strength team? I don't think we have to play a full-strength team personally. But I certainly would make some changes. If you don't play Fabio Vieira in this game, why did you even buy him? You paid 35 million for him. Kivior surely plays this game. £20 million left-sided centre-back. You can give Gabriel a rest. Kieran Tierney has to get game time in games like this. So yeah, man. Big C as a yard man myself. I think you need to sit Robbie down and have a real yard man talk with him. The man is out of control with his selection for the Sporting first leg. So do you know, I haven't seen it. So what was he saying? Rotate? Or was Laurie the one saying rotate? Oh, strong team. Laurie's saying rotate. No, Laurie's saying go with maybe full strength pretty much. Okay. Pat said, big up Curtis, just waking up in West Coast, Oregon. Great news about Saka. Great news in the draw. Big up to you in the community. Bad Bath, I'd play a team similar to Man City in the FA Cup, and that was 6 changes, and we lost 1-0 to one of the best teams in Europe. So a similar team to that should be able to go and beat Sporting Lisbon, in my opinion. Big up Bad Bath with the super chat. Beyond said, I love Lisbon. I saw Sporting v Benfica in April. I thought Sporting were terrible. Anyway, Laurie said there's no guarantee we win the league. We can't miss out on both. It's true. I think at the end of this season, if we don't win a trophy, you would still consider this a disappointment. Robbie has been capping, even said protecting Xhaka's value. Yeah, I'm going to have to get him on here. Rob. He's been capping a lot, man. I'm going to have to get him on here. Anyway, let's get into the show, people. Let's get into the show. Few bits and bobs to talk about today. Press conference reaction from Mikel Arteta as well ahead of tomorrow's game, which I'm more excited about now. You know, last week, I'm going to be totally honest. When we played against Aston Villa, I had a horrible feeling before that game. Having a few bad results, I just felt like the script was written that things were going to go wrong. I couldn't help it. The PTSD was there in full effect. And I felt like, you know, Unai Emery and all of that stuff, it was going to make life very difficult for us. However, I give the team a lot of credit. They dealt with a difficult situation. Being behind twice at Villa Park and winning, They dealt with it. They did really well. So it's made me a little bit more excited for this week. And I do think we can win this game against Leicester. Although it will be a difficult game. I thought they were poor last week against Manchester United. Playing on the halfway line against Rashford is a recipe for disaster. We did the same thing at Old Trafford. You're allowing them to play one ball over the top and you're finished. So I thought they were really poor in that game. Although in the first half going forward, they could have scored a few goals. But Leicester are quite good at home. is the only thing that does make it still a difficult game. Big up the Southern Gooner, Saka lockdown, Sporting Lisbon, a dub tomorrow. And we're having a good weekend. Let's hope so, bro. Big up to you. Appreciate the support as always. I'm going to speak first about a couple of transfer bits of news before we get into the waffle and Cone Man music with Mikel Arteta. Robbie needs therapy with Dr. Shaw. Don't worry. I'm going to try. I'm going to try and get him on next week. Let's try and get a couple of collabs on next week. We haven't done too many. I'm going to talk about Rafael Leao, people. A player that, if you watch this channel, you know I am a fan of. I would like to see Arsenal go for him in the summer. I think he's got huge potential. Interesting picture that came out yesterday. Rafael Leao, couple of days off this week, flew to London, and look who he's in the picture with, people. Doesn't mean anything in terms of him signing for us, but it's just interesting. And if you can't see the picture clearly, it's Sambi Lokonga on the other side of the picture. Never really knew they were friends. I honestly don't know where the connection is, but they're friends. They're in London. Apparently, they were shopping in London together, and he was with Sambi Lokonga, which, listen, doesn't mean anything. Look what Mudryk was doing. Still never ended up at the carpet. But Sambi and Leao are friends. The thing is, Sambi probably wouldn't have good things to say about Arsenal. So Leao probably ends up elsewhere. Yeah, what's it like at Arsenal? Nah. You don't want to play for that, brother. Okay, I'll go to somewhere else, shall I? So probably not actually good that he's with Sambi Lokonga, who probably hasn't got a good opinion of Mikel Arteta. So yeah, actually, this picture is probably bad news for Arsenal. But yeah, a story going around today about this man, Rafael Leao. Now, Paolo Maldini, who is the sporting director of AC Milan, said at the start of January he was confident that Leao would sign a contract within the next few weeks. We're now towards the end of February. He still hasn't signed a new deal. Now, where the link to Arsenal is coming from is based on a few things. I'm just going to break it down. I've wrote down a few bullet points from this story. Rafael Leao has 18 months, just under 18 months left on his contract. It was believed he was going to renew his deal in January, but he hasn't signed the contract yet. He was having a dispute about a release clause being placed into his contract, and also about the amount of money that he was going to receive. He wants around £180,000 a week. Leao's got 8 goals and 5 assists so far this season, 23 years of age. Now, where the story takes a bit of a twist, number one, apparently he's a big fan of the Premier League. Number two, he said in an interview, Arsenal were the most enjoyable team to watch, along with Real Madrid. Number three, he's also changed his agent. His agent has quit and become his lawyer. His new agent is none other than George Mendes, who now seems to have Edu in his back pocket. It used to be Kia Jarachin. It seems to be George Mendes is the new guy that is in his back pocket. And of course, Fabio Vieira is a George Mendes client. So maybe we got bumped a little bit there. AC Milan are not having a great season. They're fourth. They're 18 points behind Napoli, who are top. They won the league last year, but apparently there are a lot of financial problems over there at Milan. Now, Chelsea were heavily linked with him at the start of the season, but they've signed Mudryk for €100 million, who plays in the same position. They've still got Raheem Sterling. They've still got Pulisic, still got Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi to come back off loan. It probably doesn't mean anything. Chelsea will still probably end up buying him. But the problem is, they won't be in the Champions League next season unless they win it, which I don't think they will. Now, a few of you in the comments saying you would rather sign, I don't even want to butcher his name, but you know I'm on about Kavar. You know the brother at Napoli anyway. The winger at Napoli, who's a beast. Now, the difference with him, he's got years left on his contract. And Napoli are notoriously difficult for signing players off. So I don't see that one happening unless you're dropping a small fortune. Here's African Giant. I'm ringing Toddy. Toddy, relax, man. You've signed enough players, bro. Yeah, you've signed enough players. Let us just deal with Leao. Now, according to reports, the report coming out of Italy is that if Leao does not renew his contract before the end of this season, Milan will have to sell him in the summer. They are not prepared to let him go for free. Donnarumma left AC Milan on a free. They believed that they could get him to sign a new deal in his last year. It didn't happen. They lost out on a big asset for no money. They're not prepared to do the same thing again. Big up African Giant with the super chat. And it's believed he could be available for around 80 to 90 million pounds. Now, for me, if we win the league, or even if we don't win the league, this is the kind of player we should be going for. I spoke yesterday about, listen, I would love us to be going and getting Jude Bellingham, but it won't happen. If we got Leao, maybe a Declan Rice, maybe a couple of other players of a good level, I think that would be a fantastic window. An exciting player, quick, strong, tall, scores goals. Declan Rice is obviously a big target. Whether we think he's worth the money or not is a different situation to discuss. But for 80 million, I think he would be a very good signing, and it's a signing that I'm in favour of, I've got to be honest. I think he's an exciting player. He's got personality. He's got a bit of an ego. Would Mikel Arteta be willing to, take a player with that sort of personality? Last season, 11 goals, 8 assists. They won the title. This season, 8 goals, 5 assists. He's having a pretty good season. He made a few appearances for Portugal in the World Cup, usually off the bench as an impact player. 23 years of age. Definitely the kind of player that I think we should be looking at. I think we need more players that can run at people and put people on the back foot, and he's very direct. I hear you, Paul, who says, I feel we need more a right winger than a left winger, because when you look at it, on the left, really, we've got Martinelli, you've got Trossard, you've got Smith Rowe. You would say we do more need somebody who can play on the right and rotate with Saka. Over there, we've only really got maybe Reece Nelson, and we had Marquinhos. So I hear you. Probably we do need the right winger more than the left. But I don't know. Maybe Trossard can play on the right if we need. But he's a good player. Game changers needed. For me, this summer, we need a star player. We need a star. We need somebody that scares people. As I said, the last player we signed like that was probably Aubameyang. Before that, you're looking at maybe Alexis Sanchez. We don't sign them kind of players often. But I do think we need somebody like that who causes a stir if he comes to the club. I think Arteta will convert him to a striker. I've said for a long time I think he could play there. Big up Big C in the community. Happy Friday. Is that Champions League I see in the horizon? We're on our way to that Champions League, but I want to go into the Champions League as a Premier League winner. Can Balogun play right wing? Nah, I think striker mainly. Rice and Leao, I'm here for it. I would like them signings, definitely. Rafinha didn't look great. Says Cody, mystified for Barca against Man United. Maybe we'll end up with someone better. Listen, I've said before, Rafinha for me is not the answer. I can see why Arsenal like him, but he's like I wouldn't even say he's a B-Tech. He's a C-Tech Mahrez. He's like Mahrez off Wish. Nowhere near as good as Mahrez, by the way. The only similarities is kind of left footer plays on the right. Similar kind of style, but I'm not fully convinced. I looked at Rafinha yesterday. I thought, you don't even look like a Barcelona player to me. So yeah, man, I'm not fully convinced at him either. Fit said we need 2 or 3 star players. Time to finally get serious. Club are going to be under pressure this summer because with Champions League, you can't make these half-hearted signings. African Giant said, I'm fueling up the jet, brother. Who else do you want at the Emirates, Big C? Talk to me. Rice and beans. Rice and beans. Avada Kedavra from Napoli, Harry Potter settings. Listen, I just want a couple of game changers. I think we are going to go for Declan Rice. I do. I would like Leao. I'd like to get an attacking fullback at right back. I think we could do with somebody that can get forward a little bit. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Big up yourself though, bro. Make sure you're in Europe next year though. I can't lie. You might not need to fuel up the jet. Could be local, man. You might just need a bus, for the Premier League trips. Will you be able to sign a better right winger than Pepe for 20 million? If not, maybe try him and give him a new contract on less wages. Now, you've led me into another story there, actually, which is an interesting one, because it's funny, innit, when you think Arsenal really need a right winger. We have no cover really for Saka, and yet our £72 million winger is out on loan and can't get a kick. So you do think to yourself sometimes, would it be worth bringing him back and giving him one last dance? I don't think so. I think his career's done at Arsenal. He has a year left on his contract. He's on loan at the moment. And would it be worth bringing him back next season as a squad player and just saying, look, just use him in rotation? But I just don't think him and Mikel Arteta have any kind of connection whatsoever. Now, a story came out today, actually, from Jonathan Johnson over there in France, where he was talking about Pepe, and basically he was saying that Arsenal did not investigate and do their due diligence into this Nicolas Pepe signing well enough. Apparently, it was more of a talent identification than a personality one, which is crazy from Arsenal, really. Like, if you're spending £72 million on a player, surely you need to know every little thing that you can find out about him. How does he train? How good is he when you're losing? Is he injury prone? Does he go out clubbing a lot? You genuinely need to know everything about the personality, because London can change a lot of people. London is a different place. It's flashy. There's money there. There's, good shopping. There's women all over the place. You know how it goes. These things can affect players. Let's get the first poll up of the day. Would you bring Pepe back next season? Year left on his deal. He's having an average season over there in France. I can't imagine you're going to get much money for him. Now, Pepe was a panic buy to shut up the fans. I think, listen, like I've said before, and I obviously, I don't like doing the whole ITK thing because, I'm not a journalist. I don't have inside info. But obviously, I know a lot around the Zaha situation, as you do anyway. But obviously, I'm good friends with Yannick Bolasie. Used to go and watch Palace, and Zaha was desperate to come to Arsenal. Absolutely desperate. And Unai Emery was desperate to sign him. Zaha had caused us all sorts of problems. In fact, his goal was one of the goals that cost us getting in the Champions League. I remember going to that game. I think it was between the Napoli games in Europe. And he brought in Jenkinson and Elneny, I think. And obviously, Mustafi did what Mustafi does, which is mess up. And Emery was desperate to sign Wilfried Zaha, but they'd sold Wan-Bissaka to Man United for 50 million. And they were like, listen, if you want to sign Zaha, we want 70, 80 million, because Man United have got a 20% sell-on clause in that contract. So even if you paid 60 million for him, they would have lost 12 million to Man United. So they wanted 80 million and they would have lost 16 million of that anyway. So the reality is we bought Pepe because of the structure of the deal. Lille were willing to sell him with minimal upfront payments. This was Klarna. This was layaway. This was buy now, pay later. That is the reason that we signed him. It's not because he was a better player than Zaha. Which I do understand from a financial point of view. The rumour was that Palace wanted over 50 million of the money up front and maybe 20 odd million in spread out payments. We only paid 15 million up front to Lille to sign Nicolas Pepe. I always thought, that Pepe in the first year or two had a lot of potential. There were games where I really liked him. I just think he lacked intensity. And in 1v1 situations, he wasn't aggressive enough. You still want Zaha at Arsenal, but complaining we're renewing Xhaka's deal doesn't make any sense, big man. Let me break down why. Let me explain myself, right? Zaha is still a potential game changer. If you bring him to Arsenal, you use him in rotation off the bench. And I was talking about January, by the way, when we needed players to come in. You don't have to give him a long-term contract either, right? And he's younger than Xhaka. Xhaka, his legs are going, in my opinion. Xhaka's also been at the club 7 seasons. And let's be honest, he's been good for 1 season. So he's been at the club for a long time struggling. You know, he's not going to get any better. I think Zaha would thrive on going to the club that he supported as a boy, that he was desperate to sign for, and using him in rotation. I'm not saying that we should sign Zaha in the summer. I think that ship's probably sailed now. But I'm saying in January, he could have been a good impact. He could have been a good impact player for us off the bench. So there you go. I'll make it make sense. Pepe's when your mum says we have Wilfried Zaha at home. You know when your mum tells you, yeah, we're having pizza. And you're like, yes, pizza tonight. Yo, we're having Domino's. I'm going to get that stuffed crust and the chicken wings. And, you know, yes, we're eating good tonight. And you get home and she's been to Co-op and bought the cheap cheese and tomato small pizza for $1.99. And you've realised that's what she meant when she said we've got pizza at home. That's what it is when, you know, we thought we had Zaha at home. I've got you a winger from Ivory Coast. Yes, we've got Zaha. We've got him. Nicolas Pepe. That is the Co-op $1.99 pizza. Anyway, let's move on, people. Don't go anywhere. You know we're shameless on this one, man. You know we're shameless. But it is what it is, people. Not everybody has to agree, but, you know, we're information and entertainment. The Xhaka fanboys will come for you. He's untouchable. Well, it is what it is, people. It is what it is. Let's move on. Nicolas Pepe, let me end that poll. Would you bring him back next season? Use him in squad rotation? Or is he done? Is it just, you know, do you just try and get what you can? 70% of you say no. Don't bring Pepe back. 30% of you say yes. Personally, my opinion on Pepe is, I think he's done. I think he's done. I think once you don't get on with the manager, it's impossible to work. And I think that him and Arteta don't get on. So it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal loan him again for another year and just get his wages off the wage bill. It wouldn't surprise me if Pepe ends up leaving this club for free. It's McDowell's, you know. Instead of the, what did it say? They got the Big Mac, we got the Big Mick. You know what I mean? That's how they're moving. It is McDowell's settings, people, definitely. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on, people. Let's talk about man like Saka, man like Starboy, man like Little Chilly, the main man. He's been our best player probably for the last 2.5 years. And it's close to being done. It's so close, people, you can smell it. The deal is close. It's been agreed verbally, which really doesn't mean much, if I'm being honest. So the deal isn't done until the pen is on the paper. Apparently there was a big meeting on Thursday. Saka, his agent, his lawyer, and Arsenal. And apparently the meeting was finished with an agreement that Saka's deal is done. It will be until 2028. 2028 will be the contract. 4.5-year deal, £200,000 a week, which will make him the joint highest paid player at the football club, along with Thomas Partey and Gabriel Jesus, who earned 200,000 as well. And 4.5-year deal. I want to know your thoughts on this. Listen, I think pretty much all of you will be absolutely delighted with this. These are the kind of deals that I will be happy with. I can't lie. You know, I speak my truth on this channel. I was not happy that Elneny got a new deal. I was not happy that Granit Xhaka's getting a new deal. The Xhaka one is maybe even more baffling because he has 18 months left on that deal. Okay, Elneny, they've given him out of sympathy. They want to look after him. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get it. But this one is an absolute must. This is like signing a player for £90 million. That's how important it is. If Mudrik's worth 88 million, if Anthony's worth 90 million, how much is this lad worth? He is absolutely outstanding. Hardly ever injured. Starts right wing for England. Gets kicked every week for us. Listen, I always said, and I keep saying, I don't think Arsenal can complain about Saka being kicked. And that sounds very, very harsh, what I'm saying. It sounds very harsh. It's actually a compliment. when you're being kicked, because it means that people are scared of you. It means that they know you're dangerous. Go and watch Alexis Sanchez when he played for Arsenal. Go and watch Eden Hazard at Chelsea. Watch Zaha at Palace. These guys get kicked. They're the most fouled players because they get the ball, they go past people, and they're dangerous and people are scared of them. And to run, do you know what? We were saying this at the time. I remember when we were saying this, that Pepe and Saka became the £72 million player. Pepe became the youth team player. You know, so maybe they flipped it. He's worth over £100 million now. There's just no doubt about it. This is a huge deal for Arsenal, and I'm absolutely delighted with it. What I wanted to ask you just quickly in the comments, I'm not even going to put a poll up for this, but do any of you have a problem with him being given £200,000 a week? Because I did see a few people on social media, on Twitter, the cesspit of socials, but there were some people saying 200 grand a week is too much for a 21-year-old that has come through the youth system, which I thought was interesting. I got to be honest with you. I think you're worth what you're worth. I don't think it matters how old you are. I don't think it matters whether you came through the youth system. If Saka was to leave Arsenal now, he's getting a move to Man City or somewhere like that, and they'll pay him the money. Foden's new contract, 225 grand a week. 220 grand a week, sorry. Jadon Sancho, 300 grand a week. You know, similar age, probably haven't even done as much as he's done in the Prem. So, for me, I have no problem with it. Cody Mystified said it's actually too low. I'd give him an extra 20 to lock him in till 2030. Reece James just signed for 250 racks a week. Yeah, Sancho's on over 300. Obviously, a lot of that was tied in with the transfer fee as well. Chelsea paying 150k for Mudryk, who couldn't even lace Saka's boot. Listen, I think we're all satisfied. Hell yeah, he deserves it. It's not my money. I would give him 300. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I've got no problem. He's earned it, in my opinion. He's currently on 70 grand a week, so he's nearly trebled. For sure, better than Foden. Not my money, boss man. He's probably worth more. Even more reason to pay him 200k. He's Arsenal through and through. He deserves more. 250 is good enough. Saka's better than Foden and Sancho for me. 350k worth. Don said it's actually too low. I'm with you. I'm with you. I think 200k for 4.5 years. I'm delighted with that. I'm absolutely delighted with that. So, fantastic business. Should be signed over the next week or so, according to reports. But apparently, they had their final meeting yesterday. Everybody left and agreed that the deal is done. So, yeah, and like you said, 40% tax in the UK. He would have got a nice signing on fee, a few £1 million as well. How much do you think Saliba will be on now? That's a good point. So, Martinelli signed for 180. Saka signed for 200, which I think is justified. Saka's done more than Martinelli. He starts for his country. He's been player of the season 2 years in a row. I think Saliba 150 to 180 would be me. Between 150 and the 180, I think Saliba's should be. Up to 180, as low as 150 if possible. It's believed we offered him up to 120 and that was being rejected. You've still got to be mindful of the fact there aren't that many top quality centre-backs in world football, and Saliba has a year left on his deal. No option, no nothing. So they have to get Saliba done next. Offer him 150. If he's saying no, get him to 180. I think Saliba would take 180. And apparently there's been progress on Saliba. Now, Saliba is still on 40k a week, by the way, people. Saliba's still on the same contract that he had when he signed for us, which was 3 or 4 years ago. So he's only on 40k a week. So for me, Saliba, 150, 160, 180 max. Well, if he rejects 180, then we got a problem. Really. He's probably not worth 200k, but it would cost so much to replace him, you might have to get bumped a little bit. I think he would sign for 180, though. I got to be honest. Garbo said, now the deal is agreed verbally. I'm waiting for Bowley to swoop in, try to offer 500k a week. Nah, man. Well, pen ain't on paper yet, so he could swoop. Saliba 200k. I would like to think we could get him lower than that. He's only been in the first team for 6 months. Hey, big up Chappie, man. Big up Chappie. I did message you back, I think. I messaged you back, bro. Let me check. If you message me back. Apologies. Let me know if you want to try and get a preview done. If not, don't worry. Maybe we could do one after the game. Looking forward to the game tomorrow, though, bro. Hopefully we slap Leicester up. And I'm hoping Maddison doesn't play as well. 180k is too much for Saliba. Yeah, listen, I'd like to think 150 we could get him done. But great news. Saka, new 4.5-year contract and 200k a week. This is as big as any big signing, in my opinion. So, yeah, man, I think it's fantastic news for the club. Let's get some waffle. Let's get some waffle sorted out, people. It is just after lunchtime, and it's time for some waffle from the manager himself, Mikel Arteta. Coleman music settings, people. It's a bit of a serious look on his face. I don't know what that looks for. This was before the Europa League draw, by the way, so I'm sure there'll be not a lot to talk about in terms of the Europa League draw. Let's get some team news. Let's hear what he's got to say. I haven't watched the press conference. It was at 9:30 this morning, so I haven't seen the quotes or anything, so I'm not too sure what he's actually said regarding players and availability. Big up Snake Eyes, who said, good deal. I feel Saliba should be about 150 max, 180. Especially with his recent form, I think 150 with add-ons and bonuses should do it. Would you play Martinelli, Saka and Trossard over the weekend? First of all, I agree. Saliba's form has taken a bit of a dip, and I do think that should be reflective. He shouldn't really, in my opinion, be getting more than 150. It's his first season playing for Arsenal. He's on 40k, but the market dictates what a player's worth. If there are clubs there willing to give him more, his agent will use that as a bargaining tool. And in terms of your second question, I would play Saka, Martinelli and Trossard as a front three against Leicester tomorrow. I thought Leicester really looked like they were struggling against the pace of Rashford last week. And how high they were defending, I think you've got to play pace against them. Will he play that front three? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. He will not drop Eddie. Don said, Curtis, I've got my Lucozade and Oreo biscuits ready for the waffles. Don't worry, Mikel Arteta's waffles are here, people. Coleman music business. Right, let's get into the waffle. Any waffle, any heavy waffle, and we're skipping, you know. On the latest team news, not a lot of changes. The question mark is on Thomas Partey. He hasn't trained much, but it looks like he could be available. So let's see how he trains today. That is a massive boost for Arsenal. Absolutely huge. Now, if he hasn't trained much, Leicester away, tough game. He'll be high intensity. Maybe you don't start him. Our game in hand is coming up. It could be. I think it's this week, isn't it? We play on Wednesday at home against Everton in the league. That's our game in hand. So for me, if he's not fully fit, don't risk him from the start. Save him for the game on Wednesday, but you maybe put him on the bench and try and ease him in. So I think Jorginho will start, as a lot of you are saying. Jorginho and probably Xhaka will be the midfield. So, yeah, but great news. On Partey's return, giving us a huge boost. He said, yeah, he's a really important player for us who we've missed in the last few games. Hopefully, he can be available. The pictures should come out later, so let's see if he's in the pictures. Play Jorginho and then Partey on Wednesday, Everton. And this is what my thinking was, Abdullah. When we played Everton last time, Partey was struggling with fitness in that game, and we got bullied by Everton. Onana and Decore, they battered us. So I think we need a fully fit Partey for Wednesday. So I wouldn't fully risk him. I would have him on the bench just in case. On Gabriel Jesus' recovery, he's progressing really well. He's doing more and more on the field, and he's not reacting negatively. So that's really positive. We want to have him as quickly as possible, but also respect the time frame we've got from the doctor and the specialist. He's really pushing the boundaries right now. We need him back. We need him back ASAP. ASAP Rocky, people. We need Gabriel Jesus back. He will literally be like a new signing. It's interesting because he said we have to respect the time frame we got from the doctor and the specialist, but he's never revealed that in a press conference. So I've always wondered, was this injury worse than they first announced? Big up Ram Kamara said he's got ACL surgery in 5 hours. I was joking with my wife. A Big C stream at the time would keep me more calm. Oh my days. Listen, all the best with your surgery, bro. Hope everything goes well. William Saliba said, I want to win everything possible here at Arsenal and to put the club back on the very top. I want to win every title. We've been denied by Yeah, exactly. I think Saliba will sign a new deal. I think we're good with that one. I think he loves the club. On rumours around Saka signing a new contract, he said no news on that. But obviously, he's not going to confirm anything until pen is on paper. If Partey is not 100% fit, do not risk him against Leicester. Jesus will be a January signing, basically, yeah. It's super weird how closed mouth we are when it comes to injuries. And it's always usually when it's a bad injury, you know. On what Saka signing a new deal would say about our progress, we want to keep our best players. The players we are developing, we want to create a long-term project. And obviously we need our best players to be committed. On any progress on a new deal for Saliba, he said no news. On if referees are protecting Saka, he said, I'm sure every referee tries to protect the game and individuals. There is a lot of attention on Bukayo. We need to keep that in mind. Let's skip that. On if it's a two-horse race, he said, I think there are more teams involved. I mean, it'd be silly of him to say it was a two-horse race, wouldn't it? Because he'd look pretty stupid if United got in front of us. So, you know, in my opinion, it's a three-horse race, but United would be the outsider. Jashar said, big up Curtis, just don't give Saka 350k. I'm happy with anything up to 349,999. That's where it all goes wrong, isn't it? That 350 for Ozil, that 350 for Aubameyang. Too much money in the pockets, man. Don said, I love Saliba's reaction every time we score. He looks so passionate that it makes me think he loves this club. Even against Villa, he was slapping his chest, high-fiving the fans. I was like, this guy ain't leaving us, man. But anyway, I remember Fabregas kissing the badge. So maybe I shouldn't get too caught up. On Leicester's first half performance at United, he said they should have been 2 or 3-0 up. If it wasn't for De Gea, it would have been a different game. On what the manner of the win against Villa did for the mood, he said much better, more positive. The confidence is better in the environment around the training ground. The fact the team showed the capacity to rebuild in a really adverse situation when you are 2-1 down and you've played less than 72 hours before. If we would have dropped points, that was definitely going to come out about, oh, we played a game 72 hours before. But anyway, we got the job done, so fair play. On the team showing more characteristics Arteta didn't know they possessed. I said before the game I had more belief in the players than before the City game, and it's for that reason. Because I see how they train, how they react, how they care, and how much they want it. Photobombing Martinelli and Vieira, yeah, with their little celebration that they were doing. On the team's maturity on Saturday, he said I was really complimentary to them, the way they reacted, but as well there are things that in the first half we should do better, especially the way we played and the way we controlled the game, that we cannot be 2-1 down. Yeah, let's skip that. On what it does for the team's confidence levels, that you are able to win games in different contexts and situations and never give up. On whether he expected Jorginho to settle in this quickly, I said I did expect him to settle in quickly because obviously he's got the experience and the qualities we need in the team. He knows the league so well. There's not a lot of things that I know are caught by him. He's done really well. Great assist by Vieira, says Ross. Saliba passionately celebrated at Marseille. That's just him. Frank said, I heard Elneny's son is a future superstar. Is he at Arsenal? I don't know where he is. But yeah, fair enough. Big up Frank. Controversial take. I'd start Vieira over Xhaka against Leicester. Can Vieira play in that 8 role though? I wouldn't mind seeing Smith Rowe there. I think Smith Rowe's a bit stronger. But yeah, I don't know. Xhaka will play. Xhaka will play. On what he expects from Leicester, they've been really consistent the past few weeks in the games they've played. It's true, Brendan has proposed very different games in different moments throughout the season. They have the capacity to adapt, play different formations and different approach. We have prepared for both because it's possible. Let's see what they do. On building young players for the future, he said that's what we do. It's our responsibility to keep our best players, our best people, and people that have the same aims with the club to keep them together for a while and give them stability. The questions are not banging, are they? You're not going to create a headline with these questions. On the process of developing young players, it's part of developing a team, building a squad. I'm going through it. The questions are awful. On how big the Leicester game is. About that big? How big do you think it is? We've got to go there, play well, and compete even better to win that game. On whether there is less pressure this week after a win. He said maybe it is for the players, for the manager. It's always trying to get prepared mentally and tactically. What can happen in the game and all about solutions. Let's skip it. On Elneny's new contract, here we go. Here we go. Here comes the cap. I understand. I know what he's going to say already, though. Don's saying sell ESR. Wow. Leicester game is XXL. It's an extra large. That's how big it is. Big up the under-18s reaching the Youth Cup semi-finals. Jack Wilshere doing bits. Couple of good young Gs. Big up Wilsh, man. Doing bits as a coach. On Elneny's contract, he said it's totally deserved. It's an absolute joy to have him at the club. And I think what the club has done is absolutely brilliant. It's not just words saying we value the people we have and we're going to stick with people in difficult moments. Mo had a very difficult moment a few weeks ago when he had a pretty serious injury and the club committed to him for what he gives to the team and what he's done for the football club. I think it's a really strong message to everyone at the club to keep our best people and best players with us in challenging moments. Right. I'm going to just say something quick on this, right? Because I said a lot the other day. I understand and I applaud what the club are doing in the sense of, from a footballing point of view, if you was that player, you would be so thankful about what they're doing, right? You've got injured, you're out of contract, they give you a new deal because you're obviously a very good personality and people care about him at the club. Totally respect that, right? I totally respect that. But as a fan, and the flip side of it, for me, is that there is an element of capping involved there because you're saying our best people and our best players. Well, let's be honest. If we're keeping it 100 here, Elneny is our worst centre midfielder at the club at this moment in time. Let's just say it as it is. We got 4 centre mids: Partey, Jorginho, Xhaka, Elneny. I would probably say Elneny would be the 4th choice out of those 4. So he's our worst centre midfielder. He's also injured and he's also 30. I get why they've done it, but I wouldn't have done it. That's all I'm saying about the matter. Now, people will say, look after him. We're looking after him because he's been at the club for a long time and he's got injured. Now, we're paying him 2.4 million a season for 7 years. I think we've more than looked after him. I mean, we've paid him over £15 million. So, even if we let him go in the summer, we have not mistreated the guy. We could have easily said, listen, stay at the club until the summer, do your rehab at the club and get yourself a new club. But listen, there's no point me harping on about it. He's put pen to paper already. Snake Eye said, here we go. It's the attitude of being nice. I am sorry. It's a business. You provide a service. You get paid. Once he says our best players, then for me, the argument loses any kind of, solidarity because he's nowhere near one of our best players. You can say one of the best people, and I understand that. He's very popular at the club. Empathy, listen, bro. If you pay me 15 million and then let me go, you've looked after me. Trust me. But anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. He's a nice guy, so they look after him. He was his teammate as well. He's accepted a pay cut and he's a squad player. But as we always say, squad players have to play sometimes. And if he plays in the Champions League next season, is he good enough? But listen, we move on. I understand it, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But it is what it is. He's going to be here. He's doing his coaching badges. And hopefully he doesn't have to play that much next season. On Bakayo's bravery, if you ask him how he used to be when he was 10, 11, 12, 13, I think it's very different. Wingers and talented players get kicked, get fouled, and have the demand to win games. That's the task he has and his role in the team. And I said that. Listen, it's harsh. It's harsh, but Saka is going to get kicked. He's going to get kicked because he's a good player and he holds on to the ball a lot. So he's going to get kicked. I don't think Arsenal can actually complain too much about it. As I said, you look at the wingers who dribble. I think Zaha and Grealish are the most fouled players in the Premier League this season. And because they both dribble. And they hold on to the ball a lot. So you're going to get fouled a lot. It's the reality of the situation. But listen, we just don't want to see him get injured. You know, that's the main thing. On whether he's worried Bakayo could get injured, he said, hopefully not. We have to train for that. He has to learn when to take certain balls. Pause. And what he has to do with that ball. Pause again. How to use his body and when to jump. There is a lot of things that we can train for, but it's very difficult to understand what the opponent is going to do. Let's move on. Another Saka question on whether Bakayo has to get used to being targeted. He said, obviously he attracts a lot of attention, like Gabriel Martinelli or Gabriel Jesus when he plays, or Eddie or Martin. Eddie Murphy and Martin Luther King, or Eddie... no, I'm joking. Eddie and Nketiah and Martin Odegaard, of course. Yeah. It's normal that creative players want to be stopped by the opposition. They want to be restricted with the ball, getting into them and occupying certain spaces. What we have to do is try to complete. What we have to do is to try to do the complete opposite. It comes with the territory. It comes with the territory, man. On how much of a boost it would be to extend his contract, I don't know. Obviously, we have the intention to extend. When it's done, it's great news. On any discussion about Granit Xhaka extending his contract, he says not yet. Although I'm sure he's not going to reveal if he has had talks, you know. Yeah, these questions are horrendous. Again, they're bad questions, man. They're really boring. On whether he reported anything to the officials about Saka's treatment. We fill in our reports. You express if you are satisfied with the performance. If there are any issues, we have to report everything. They're really going in on this Saka. Look at how many questions. Did they literally ask 10 questions in a row about Saka being targeted? He didn't mention Xhaka. He don't rate him. He more than rates him, bro. He'll give him a new deal, all right. AO said, Big C, the thing with Saka being fouled a lot is about the ratio of fouls or yellow cards he's awarded is much less than any winger, and he receives more. Now, I hear you on that. I think a lot of players get away with fouling him and not getting booked. Now, that's a different question altogether. On whether they included anything about Saka's treatment, he said, no, it's a topic every single week. On not getting Saka to think he is being targeted. I mean, seriously, man. What on earth is this press conference? It's like the journalists are waffling more than Arteta. We've had about 10 questions about Saka being targeted. What's he going to do? Hypnotise him? On not getting Saka to think he's being targeted. You are not being targeted. Look into my eyes. Don't look into my eyes. Look around the eyes. Blah, blah. Come on, man. Let's end it. End it, Dave. End it. Get it over with. We can't. I can't read any more of that. Horrendous. It's like playing against a computer on FIFA, people. It's just boring. There's no personality. These journalists are horrendous. The questions they ask are so pointless. Just nothing. Absolute nothing questions. The man's trying to hypnotise Saka. How's he meant to get Saka to believe that he's not being targeted? I didn't even read out the answer. He said, we cannot control what the opponents are going to do with the referee's decision in a split second. It's something we cannot control. Let's help him to become a better player. That's it. Yeah, let's make him think it. Yeah, I know you've been kicked 50 times, but you're not being targeted, I promise. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes. Don't look around the eyes. Look into the... Come on, man. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, we need Jeff back in the press conference. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. 2 more stories before we round up, people. Let's finish off the transfer section. Got a story here from our channel friend, Ben Jacobs. Yuri Tielemans is expected to leave Leicester this summer on a free transfer. I'm genuinely bored about talking about this guy as well, man, Yuri Tielemans. Arsenal still haven't ruled out signing him on a free transfer. They were reluctant to pay a transfer fee over the past 2 windows, but now the Belgian midfielder is a bargain, and we'll get a closer look at him tomorrow. Although hopefully he has a stinker. I got to be honest, the Tielemans deal holds no excitement whatsoever for me anymore. I think last year, after finishing 5th and being in need of a centre midfielder, Tielemans looked like good business. The season he's had for Leicester, the World Cup he had for Belgium, and the fact that I feel like we will either be champions or we'll definitely be in the Champions League next season. With the fact that Saka and Elneny are signing new deals, Jorginho's just signed, and Partey still has a couple of years left on his deal, I can't see Arsenal signing more than 1 centre midfielder. I'll be surprised if we sign 2. If we're only signing 1, I hope we sign 2. I wouldn't want one of them to necessarily be Yuri Tielemans. I mean, Clev said, Tielemans and Rice, would you take it? Listen, I wouldn't be against it, but I would like us to get somebody better in the attacking position than Yuri Tielemans. You give me Declan Rice and Milinkovic-Savic or Jude Bellingham. Nah, we ain't getting Jude Bellingham, of course, but I think we can get better. The worry for me is that he's a free agent and Arsenal will be absolutely all over it. Edu will be rubbing his hands together. What? I don't need to spend any money. I can get him on a free. Wouldn't surprise me if Tielemans ends up an Arsenal player because he's a free agent. And we know that Edu likes the easier deals. Reaction said, I don't want Tielemans unless we sign a better centre mid. Then he can play Europa and FA Cup. Hey, relax. You delete that Europa bit out of your comment. No more Europa. After this season, we need, Champions League. See, we're hypnotised. We've got Stockholm Syndrome. We've been in Europa League so long, we forgot how to spell Champions League. No more Europa. Arsenal loves cheap. Yep, no TK Maxx sale section. Getting Harrods time out for saying Europa. Me personally, Tielemans, he would be low down on the list for me. Not a player that excites me. Had a poor season. Lacks mobility. Doesn't possess the qualities that I think we need. Is he still good on the ball? Yeah, and he is better than Elneny and players like that. But with those guys still at the club, I don't see the point in signing Yuri Tielemans. But again, as I said, wouldn't surprise me if we signed him because he's a free. Arsenal like cheap, and they'll dress this up as an unbelievable opportunity. You can already see the way they will PR it. We've watched him for ages, and to get him on a free is fantastic business. He's a Belgian international. He knows the league. It's a free. They'll dress this up as a marquee signing if it gets done. So Edu is a coupon queen. He loves a coupon, that is for sure. What we're going to finish off with, just briefly, is... and don't get me wrong, if Tielemans comes as a squad player, it's not terrible. We'll see. We've been after him for a long time. Let's look ahead to tomorrow's game just briefly. We'll do what we usually do. We'll end by picking our starting 11 and then picking what we think Mikel Arteta's will be. Rambo will be in goal. Thought he was brilliant last week. A couple of weeks before that, I've been critical of him. Looks like he's been drinking too many Red Bulls, but last week, that save from Leon Bailey potentially gets us 3 points or certainly helps us. So Rambo in goal. I would continue with Ben White at right back. Harvey Barnes left wing will be a dangerous player. I think he's a good player. And he's direct, got a bit of pace. Man said he drank Prime last week. Looks like he was on the Prime instead of the Red Bull. At left back, I mean, listen, I actually begin to feel guilty when I don't pick Kieran Tierney at left back, but he's not playing. He's not playing. It's just the reality. Kieran Tierney's next game will be Sporting Lisbon away. Zinchenko's playing. Scored his first goal last week. I have to say, though, Zinchenko in the last few weeks, defensively, has not been great. He is borderline at the moment with his performances. He's kind of lucky that he's so good on the ball, gets him out of trouble for his defensive qualities, because he's not a great defender. I think you can tell that Zinchenko is not a natural fullback. But he's just, what he does on the ball is what Arteta wants. He'll drop into midfield, give us that extra body, allow Saka to go forward. Tactically, it fits perfectly. Saliba as well is another one, you're right, that needs to step up. That Tete who plays on the right looked dangerous for them as well. So, yeah, Saliba Gabriel. Will be the centre-back pairing. These two as well for me, the last few weeks. When's the last time they both played well together? It's like one struggles and the other one plays well. It's strange. We do have a midweek game as well, but I think this is the tougher game, so I don't think we can rotate. I mean, Richard's saying we need to rotate. Some of the players are jaded. Listen, for me, I got no problem if Tierney's at left back tomorrow and you put Zinchenko in midfield. And like OGD has said there, again, I would have no problem with that. I wouldn't. So let's pick our team. I would take Granit Xhaka out of the team. I would. I think he looks knackered. I think he looks absolutely knackered. I would get him out of this team. I wouldn't play Eddie Nketiah tomorrow. I wouldn't play Eddie Nketiah. But I'm just thinking, who would you play up front? Yeah, do you know what? I would play Martinelli up front. I know some people have said Trossard's played up front for Brighton, but I've always wanted to see him up front for us. And I think Leicester's slow defence, I would play that team tomorrow. I would play this team. Some people saying go Trossard up top. I think, do you know the reason that I would play Martinelli up front ahead of Trossard, right? If Trossard plays up front, he plays like a false nine, in my opinion. He drops deep. I think Leicester's back four is slow, and I would actually tell Martinelli to stay on the last defender. Can he play with his back to goal? Hard to say until we see it. Are we going to see this team tomorrow? No chance. Not a chance. You think he can drop Granit Xhaka and Eddie Nketiah? There is two stepsons. There's absolutely no chance this team happens. So that's what I would pick tomorrow. I think Zinny in midfield, he's got the energy, got the quality, but it's not going to happen. In reality, Tierney ain't, like I said, Tierney isn't playing until we play Sporting Lisbon. That's just the reality of the situation. Granit Xhaka will play in midfield. He's not going to play this team. He's going to play Eddie. I'm just thinking. Who do you think he will play left wing tomorrow? Who do you think he will play left wing? Because I'm thinking, right, he played Trossard from the start last week. Trossard did okay, but Martinelli, in theory, set up Jorginho's shot and he scored the fourth goal. So I think Martinelli will play tomorrow. Who do you think he will start? Martinelli, Trossard, Martin. More of you saying Martinelli. I just think because he scored, he'll probably try and use that as an opportunity to boost his confidence. That's the team I think will start tomorrow. I think Partey at the most will be on the bench. But I certainly wouldn't risk it. I like Snake Eye said, if you play that front three, you make them interchangeable anyway. Martinelli and Trossard can swap movement. You know, Man City used to play like that, but I bet Buddy Love bags tomorrow. Listen, I hope he does. I hope Eddie scores tomorrow because we need him to carry this attack, you know, until Jesus comes back. He needs a goal. I don't think he scored for 5 games. Martinelli is a super sub now. This site is called Create Formation for anybody looking. Arteta doesn't change players for tactics. That's the problem. Martinelli for the pacing behind since Leicester's back line is slow. Would you play Jorginho over Xhaka if Partey comes back? I would. 100%. Nothing against Xhaka. He looks tired. Looks very tired. I'll be surprised if Partey goes from not really training to just starting. I think they have to be careful with him. And like I said, we got Everton on Wednesday. Everton bullied us in midfield in the away game. So I think it's more important to get Partey fully fit for Wednesday. So if he's not 100%, I would put him on the bench rather than starting him. Fitz said we're a big club in a title challenge and Eddie is our striker. Sounds like Fitz is a big fan of Eddie. Listen, I'm with you, Fitz. You know me. I said, listen, we should have signed João Felix, but we are where we are. We are where we are. Gabby can't be too far away, we're hoping. So every game at the moment with Eddie by himself, it's like just get through that game. Get us another day closer to Gabriel Jesus being fit. Can you imagine when Partey is back in this team and Jesus is back in this team, how good we're going to be? And then you've got a decision. Do I play Xhaka? Do I play Jorginho? Eddie becomes a sub. Smith Rowe, we need him back firing. Smith Rowe last season was one of our most important players off the bench. He scored over 10 goals last season. A lot of times he came off the bench and scored. You need players like that who can make an impact. So, you know, that's the team I think he'll start tomorrow. And it'll be interesting. Brendan Rodgers has said that Johnny Evans is out. And it's 50-50 whether James Maddison plays. Probably playing mind games. I reckon Maddison will play. I'm going for a 3-1 win. I think we're going to beat Leicester 3-1. It wouldn't surprise me if they score defensively. We haven't been great the last few weeks, but I think we'll score goals against Leicester. I don't think they're going to be able to keep us out. I actually feel more confident about this game than I did the Villa game. It's not an early kickoff. I think our confidence is back. We've had no midweek game, plenty of time to recover, and I think Arsenal will win this game by 3-1. People, thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate your support. Thank you for tuning in to the watch along for the Europa League draw this morning. Obviously, we have got Sporting Lisbon in the next round. First leg away, second leg at home. Man United have got Real Betis. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. I'll be live from 2:15 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Arsenal against Leicester. I'll also be doing the Carabao Cup final watch along on Sunday. Man United against Newcastle. So make sure you keep it locked for them. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video. Enjoy your weekend, people. And I will see you all tomorrow for the watch along. Bless.